Hello everyone. First off, thanks for everyone who subscribed or watched my first video. Honestly, I expected to get like 5 viewers. It would be my friend, my brother, my mom, and me refreshing it twice. So honestly, it just really motivated me to make another video. So this one will be focusing on choosing a league starter that will only require basic rares, mainly just to get life and resistance and a tabula. I will be focusing on builds that are able to clear up to red maps within the first 1 to 3 days, with, again, literally only a tabula, gem levels, getting 75 in all of your resistances, and then whatever life you can scrounge up on the way there. First of all, everyone, if you want to have a successful league start, everybody should be farming tabula rasa on day 1. You farm the blood aqueducts a little bit in Act 4 where you can, but mainly in Act 9. It's a huge XP boost, and you get a free 6 link with all white sockets, which is really good. For some of these builds, you'll be wanting to swap out a lot of gems, so just having white sockets makes it absolutely free when you only have like 5 chromes in your stash tab. When choosing a league starter, you want to make sure you have a skill that's dependent on gem levels and not items. Gem levels are free. You just have an offhand. You throw whatever gems you're doing in that offhand or weapon swap or wherever. You just level your gems as you go through the axe, and then that's where you get all of your damage from. We're not relying on items. We're not relying on uniques. You do not want to choose a skill reliant on buying items or a skill that has a rough time killing bosses, especially for this league. It seems like it'll be a little more boss killing focused, which will be pretty neat. Some examples of these are like Elemental Hit with that combat focus skill, with that combat focus gem. Combat Mastery. You're not going to be able to get that within the first few days. And if you do, you would probably be better off playing a different skill anyway. Another example is Tornado Shot. Unless you have like a sick team together, you probably don't want to start as Tornado Shot. It clears white maps really well, but you'll have to have someone else come in and kill your boss. Unless Blast Rain is like completely busted, Tornado Shot is not going to have too many single target options. Ball skills, those require a lot of investment. You're not going to be able to league start with a ball skill. Cast on crit as well. You're not going to get Cosprey's Malice, and you're not going to be critting with just a tabula, and that's not going to be a bunch of casts, if you're not critting a bunch. Stuff like Volatile Dead Skulls, again, it's a unique item that you're not going to have at league start. Golem builds requires lots of golem items. You're not going to have those at league start. The new Zospo looks pretty cool, but you're not going to have that at league start. Same with any other league specific items. You just stay away from uniques. You stay away from any items that are required for the core of your build other than tabula. So some things you do want to choose a league starter based on is gem damage that you get from scaling off of gem levels. So things like summon raging spirits and just minions in general, your specters, zombies, skeletons. Pretty much every spell, arc, spark, spell mines, and traps, and totems. ED, essence drain, and contagion. Vortex is pretty good. Blade Vortex is alright, and Toxic Rain / Scourge Arrow. These abilities all gain flat damage with levels, which is exactly what we're looking for. You don't need a good bow, wand, sword, whatever to do good damage. You just need to have those gems leveled and in your tabula rasa. So I'm going to go through some examples of some really good builds that have just a tabula rasa, and I'll have some video of these being played as well. Most of the items in the videos are just like rares that I've picked up from my stash in standard, just random stuff. It's got life, it has res. It might have like one random stat on it, but it's nothing really too crazy. All of them have like 3k to 4k something life. And then again, just the tabula, which is the main item and the one item you can get super free at the start of the league. So number 1 is Spectres and Minions in general. Absolutely, hands down, it's the freest league starter you could ask for. You're going to have 4 different gems that can deal damage when you need it. You have Spectres, Zombies, Summon Raging Spirits, and Skeletons. They all scale off of gem levels, which is sick. That's exactly what we're looking for. Everything attacks for you. You don't need to cast. You really don't need to do anything. They just need to be out, and they will attack for you. This lets you focus on picking items, dodging boss abilities, and just progressing through your map. You can just keep moving. They're going to kill everything for you. Minions can and will soak a lot of damage for you, which is awesome, because you will not have any life at league start. You could pretty much just have a tabula, and you would be fine. This transitions really well into the late game, and can become an absolute tank with a ton of life. And you get bone armor, and you can pick up Vol Molten Shell as well for another really big shield. Bone armor is like, I think it was like 2k plus, just like an extra 2000 damage you get to absorb every 3 seconds or something like that. Like, it's super sick. Like, you're tanky, all your minions have a bunch of damage, and it's all like super free. Number 2 would be Essence Drain and Contagion. They're very good damage scaling with bot skills, and they scale really well with gem levels. It's a satisfying and expedient clear ability, and it can chain to many mobs. It's really, really good in Legion monoliths and breaches, and blight stuff too, abysses, whatever. Anytime there's a few packs of mobs together, you press Contagion, you press Essence Drain in the general direction, and it's just going to go boom, boom, boom. They pop all in a sequence. It feels pretty good, and it's pretty decent clear. You get good single target damage over time, which is pretty nice for boss fights and for red maps in the very start of the league, which is exactly what we're looking for. You get pretty decent recovery with Patient Reaper, 2% life and mana on kill, or 2% life and energy on kill, and 4% mana, which is nice. And you get 70% increased recovery rate for mana, life, and ES. Number 3 and number 4, they're pretty similar, I guess. It's kind of just like whatever your preference is, but Spell Totems. Spell Totems can be 3 or 4, same with the Mines and Spell Mines, but Spell Totems number 3. They're going to scale off gem levels, obviously, it's spells. You can easily substitute different spells, and this is the cool part with totems. You just generally grab Totem Crit, generally grab Totem Damage, and you can socket Freezing Pulse, you can do Frostbolt. You can do Fire Blast, whatever you need. What I recommend, at least, is Frostbolt and Glacial Cascade. You could do Freezing Pulse too if you get those gems. But like Glacial Cascade is going to be really good single target. If you really need you can just run Glacial Cascade in red maps. All you need to do is have a leveled Glacial Cascade. Just be leveling a gem, and you swap it in. It's like a whole new build, whole new vibe. Totems can be a little slower in clear speed, especially if you do that Glacial Cascade stuff. But you can push into red maps really early on, which is exactly what we're looking for. The faster you get to red maps, the more money you will make. I'll have a video on this later of exactly how you can make a ton of money at the start of the league. But you just want to push into red maps as fast as you can. You want to be in those red maps as fast as you can. Your damage can be scaled pretty heavily by just putting more totems down. It's that easy. If you need, you just slap down more totems. If they die, you just slap down more totems. And in the meantime, you're running around just like the Minion Spectre build. You're running around dodging boss abilities without a care in the world. So number 4 is going to be kind of like Ice Mine. I kind of like that one, or just Spell Mine in general, whichever one you like. Mines, again, scale off of levels really well. It's what we're looking for. Icicle Mine can fill the entire screen with projectiles, which is super nice. It's pretty much the tornado shot of spells. You can easily switch to different mines or spells based on your needs, just like spell totems. You can just grab general mine crit, spell crit, mine damage, stuff like that. And again, just like totems, you can preload your damage. Even more so on mines, though. You can preload a lot of your damage by placing a bunch of mines on the boss, which is super sick. Again, this is going to be kind of boss-centric with all the Metamorph mechanics. So that'll be pretty nice for those Metamorph bosses. Number 5 is Toxic Rain / Scourge Arrow, depending on what they do to it. This is another great example of a damage over time ability that scales well with gem levels. For Scourge Arrow, they're adding more base chaos damage to it, so it could be even better for a League start. Although you'll see I was doing Toxic Rain, and my Toxic Rain was something like level 12. Like it's just in a tabula. I got a bow that does nothing except gives you 7% attack speed. Like it was super free. Red maps were super nice. It's got good clear speed and boss killing potential. It's kind of the best of both worlds. It's pretty decent. It's not the best, but it's definitely super, super solid. I can do red maps really easily, especially on Pathfinder. It's super nice to have all those Pathfinder bonuses. You get a ton of move speed, all that damage, immunities and whatnot because of your flasks being up more often. Really good stuff. Number 6 is Vortex. So this is, again, a damage over time ability that scales well with gem levels. Good at killing bosses, which is going to be the main focus of the league. And this one can transition into CI earlier than most builds, which can be a nice way to guarantee a large effective HP pool. It is going to be a little tricky if you really want to do CI earlier on. You will have to start as life, but you could transition into it. You pick up some cheap pieces. You can kind of get a lot of free stuff from Occultist, which is pretty nice. But Vortex, it's pretty solid. Number 7 is the new Ballista skills. Honestly, they could be anywhere. I don't know the numbers yet. Nobody knows the numbers exactly and how the tree and maybe some ascendancies will change. It makes me wary of kind of recommending them because league start is super important. You really only get one league start, right? So you want to make sure you're doing it correctly every league. It's just your one chance. Even with the numbers released, the only clear advantage I see these having over bow skills, the only clear advantage I could see these bow totems having over spells would be for single target fights, like Barrage Explosive Arrow. That could be super sick, but I don't think bow skill totems is going to be like insane clear speed. But they could. We just have to see what's released. If the numbers are good, and they seem like a solid pick, at most they're number 2. Minions are just it's just like way too busted right now. If they're not nerfed, and it doesn't seem like they will be, nobody's talked about it. Could be one of those things, where they just axe it. But if they're not nerfed, this is absolutely what I recommend for League Start to get ahead in the first few days. Everything is just so free. Like you could be farming red maps in just like absolute crap gear. You have a tabula and you're fine, which is sick. That's exactly what everybody's gonna have at League Start. So you might as well have the huge advantage of 20 plus minions protecting you and doing all of your killing for you. Some kind of meh tier things I tried out were Blade Vortex, Tornado Shot, Lightning Arrow. They were actually super sick in white maps, but once you were trying to push into red maps with not very much gear, they really start to show their weakness, especially on bosses. Tornado Shot, Lightning Arrow, it's got garbage single target. The new Blast Rain or Explosive Arrow could be super sick for single target, but I don't think Blast Rain or Explosive Arrow are going to be super sick clearing abilities, but they could be. We'll just have to kind of wait and see on that. So those were all of my examples of really solid league starters. Let's talk about some examples of kind of bad builds. Again, cast on crit, no gear. You're not going to be critting that often, which means you're not going to be casting often. Poet's Pen stuff, Scold's stuff, you're not going to have any of these items. Same with Elemental Hit. And I did try some melee skills. It's a lot more difficult to start light maps with just like a decent enough weapon. That's if you find a decent enough weapon. And then your clear is going to be a lot less than these other good league starters. It's going to be really hard for a melee ability to keep up with the pace of minions or essence drain or totem mine spells, all of that good stuff. It's going to be really hard for a melee skill to keep up with that. Melee skills, have their pros and cons. Just as a league starter, I don't think they're very good right now, especially compared to a lot of the spells and stuff we have. So that's it for the builds I recommend not to start with. I don't want to break anyone's hopes and dreams. They might have like a really cool build planned, and it could be really sick. I am just making this as kind of like a guarantee to players who are looking to clear and farm red maps within the first few days. Your build could work out really well. I have just had league starts with a bad build, and it sucks. And maybe some players don't mind not being in two red maps, and in the first few days. That is kind of like an elitist thing for some people. But this is getting into red maps super easily and for free, pretty much, just a tabula. Again, I appreciate the support for watching my videos and subscribing. I was super sick for that first one. I totally didn't expect that. If you guys could do one favor, just comment on how much cleaner my room looks. I went to my girlfriend, Alexa. I was like, oh my god, I got like 1,000 views on my first video. Like, that's crazy. And the first thing she says is like, oh my god, 1,000 people saw our room like being really dirty. Like, I bet they think you're like a gross gamer. And it's like, oh, come on. Like, no one even commented about like my room or whatever. Like, I don't know. It wasn't that bad, but whatever. If you just say like, oh, he really cleaned up his room for the second video, like something like that. I don't know. I'm sure she'd get a kick out of that and be pretty goofy. Again, if you like the content, subscribe. I'll be making more videos. This is pretty fun, and I'm just like learning about more stuff as I go. I'd like to help you guys out with your league start, and this honestly helps me out with my league start. I did a ton of different builds, checked a bunch of skills, kind of figured out what I wanted to do in the meantime. So it's pretty sick that I get to do that, and I can share it with you guys. But I'll see you in the next video.